Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Fresh out of the shower, Cappy, and what we're going to do is we're going to review Trinidad and Tobago. I did a quick, well, not quick, but I did a lot of research. This will be a quick economic analysis. The amount of research I went into was not so quick because research goes at its very lethargic, slow pace. But our client, he's from Trinidad, and he wanted to know, okay, what do you think about the Trinidad and Tobago economy? And so I did a little bit of research, and this is actually kind of a very interesting country. It is just north. I mean, it's right north of Venezuela, not more than 20 miles off the shore. It's an island, but one of the bigger ones. And it's kind of, I don't know how well or how good your Caribbean geography is, but there's basically a chain of islands, St. Kitts, starting from Cuba, or is it Jamaica, going down and arcing down towards South America. So it's just this chain of islands, and this is where, Aruba's off to the west. But St. Kitts, St. Nevis, what else is there? Grenada. So there's all these little islands. But Trinidad is a little bit bigger. And that's the problem. I've talked about this before. If you ever go to the Bahamas or the Caymans, a lot of people go, oh, I can't wait till they go to the Cayman Islands or Bahama. They have no taxes. It's like, they're islands. There's not a lot of shit to do there. Me and my buddy went on this island called Exuma. And we saw it all, man, and it's an island, and that's it. I mean, there's, what was it, Georgetown, Cape Town, some little town. And not that you can't have fun, but wow, you need a boat, you need something to get out of there, you need a plane. Because it's just an island, and you'll go stir crazy, or at least an individual like I would. Trinidad is much bigger, not to mention it's right off the coast of South America. Not that you'd want to go to Venezuela, but one of the better things I like about it, at least from a... Ooh, hang on. Holy shit, where'd she come from? Sorry. Anyway, where was I? Oh, so one of the things I like about it is that you're not going to have this trapped or suffocating or, what's the word I'm looking for? Claustrophobic kind of feel. The island itself is a little bit bigger, and then if you want to, you could go to the mainland South America and putz around, go to Brazil or whatever. The only problem is it's right next door to Venezuela, but I don't know. I don't think they're just hunting people down and killing them yet. They're just a bunch of socialist retards. So that's from a long-term standard of living perspective. That's one thing I did notice about it. It's also, kind of like Venezuela, rich in oil. And this makes it have one of the higher GDP per capita, around 30,000, 31 and change. And it depends on what source you cite. I was using the CIA World Factbook for all these comparisons to keep it consistent. World Bank, IMF, they have different ones that they have it a little bit lower. Regardless, it's it's certainly better off than Venezuela, that's for sure. And I think it was like the richest island country in that area. I didn't go much beyond, I didn't look much beyond Colombia. I didn't go to Colombia. I didn't hit Central America. But for that Caribbean island, Suriname, Guyana, and I don't know what happened to French Guiana. It's no longer around, apparently. Couldn't find it. But it's doing better than Grenada, was it Lucas? St. Vincent, Barbados. It's doing better than all of them in terms of GDP. And by multiple folds. I mean, you're looking at roughly around an average of $10,000 GDP per capita for these competitors. Some 12, some 9, but it's well-to-do, and in part it's because of oil. Now, what is it? 40% of its GDP is oil, and 80% of its exports is oil. So obviously it's very heavily dependent on oil. So that's its kind. And then there's other things like standard breakdown of agriculture, tourism, and all that other stuff. But oil is the obvious big one there to take a look at. The size of its government I was very impressed with as well. It's only about 30% GDP. Its revenues are 29%, spending is 32%, so it's been running a deficit about 2.6%, and that was as of 2014. And unfortunately, it's been running up deficits under the previous administration, in part because the collapse in oil prices, and I did not delve too much into the politics of the previous administration. It seems to be a little bit of corruption going on there, but corruption has always plagued Trinidad, as you'll find out. So its total debt to GDP is 50.1 or 50.6% now as of 2014. So by all measures, it's in better shape than the United States. It's a more capitalist nation. Now, but not GDP per capita. We're still trouncing them in that. But still, it's not bankrupt. It's not unsolvable. It's not this hopeless kleptocracy. It's not a dictatorship. It is a country that has a lot of shit going on. Economic growth in 2014 was 1.1, again slowing because of lower gas prices. Unemployment 4%, inflation 7%, not bad. They had a lot of information on their central bank and all that. I believe inflation can be simply taken under control. It's no problem to do that. And then what other notes do I have here? Yeah, that's about it. It's one of the best, if not the best country in the Caribbean, bar the Cayman Islands in terms of its current economy. What I also think about its potential economy. Now, there is one problem. This is the main problem holding it back. And a close second would be its dependence on oil. And then it's corruption. You go to the Transparency International, you look at the corruption index. They have a score of 38. And you want a high score on this one. From 0 to 100, you want a high score. And to give you reference, Venezuela, which is one of the most corrupt countries out there, has a score of 19. Barbados, 74. So it's twice the score, almost, of Trinidad. St. Vincent, 67, Grenada, 44, Suriname, 36, and Guyana, 30. So the islands do better, less corrupt, and then South America, that northern frontier. All those little countries you had to learn when you were a kid and you forgot what they were already. You don't know what the history was behind them. Yeah, all those countries in Venezuela have worse corruption than Trinidad, but not by much. Regardless, a lot of corruption in the police, a lot of drugs emanating from drugs. Corruption within the government, it's infected. It's just like a disease or a virus that has been infected. So overall, yes, damn good looking country. Not financially crippled. Has the blessing of having oil, so if it does it right and doesn't turn it into a fucking Pemex or some shitty ass Venezuelan shithole. And they say, hey, look, we got to get Western engineers in here, or you at least open it up to Western companies with their technology. You can get a lot more oil out using that technology. If they do it right, there's so much potential, and that's what I want to focus on, is the potential of Trinidad and Tobago. If Cappy was king and all that, or if I was to advise, Keith Raleigh, now is it? I don't know who the hell I am. One, I'd stamp out corruption, and you can do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is to round them all up and kill them. Or to really crack down, but it'll probably violate their constitutional rights, violate their law. We got rid of Al Capone not because of booze and prohibition, we got him because of tax evasion. So it's kind of hard to weed out corruption. And the easy way is you expand your economy by legalizing drugs. And I know then there's some moral issues and all that, but that's up to your family and the parents of the kids to teach the kids not to do drugs. All right, I would grab whoever the drug lords are, whoever the drug, say, look, we're gonna legalize this shit, okay? We're not gonna the U.S. or the DEA wants us to work. No, we're not. We don't care. We're done. We're a separate country. We're done fighting this. All right, and this is one time. Otherwise, it's gonna be the hard way, and then we're gonna have to start killing people. And then they may not like that, but it's one way to get rid of your corruption. Not to mention to expand your taxable GDP or expand your tax base. Diversify out of oil. Great having oil, but you cannot rely on it, especially if prices go down. I mean, what was it? 2004, I think. Oil prices just plummeted to nothing. And you didn't want to be an OPEC country back then. So what you need to do is diversify out of oil. And what I'd recommend is finance and tourism. Of course, tourism, I know you probably have that. But you have pretty much a first world, there's traffic problems and all that, but you do have the potential for a first world infrastructure. And if you lobby and become a Cayman Islands, you basically want to become a Hong Kong or Singapore of the Caribbean. And so what I would do is diversify out of oil and then say, hey, no income taxes. Come set up your corporations here and welcome those people. have a sales tax, have a VAT tax, have something else, but you want to get as much foreign capital coming in there as possible. And there's a market for it. A lot of these, FACTA is scaring away a lot of foreigners and foreign banks from doing business with Americans. And as long as your banks, one of two things, do not have overseas assets in the United States, and two, do not hold U.S. Denominated securities like bonds or whatever, then the government, because how FACTA works is basically the government says, okay, Swiss bank, I know you don't have any assets here, we know that you don't have any branches here, but if you don't give us the financial information of all these people, we're going to make sure that you never get your dividends or interest payments from all those U.S. government securities you own or all those U.S. stocks you own. So that's how they muscle it. So as long as you have banks that don't have anything to do with the United States, you can offer citizenship, visas, no corporate taxes. You basically just become a Cayman Islands, but much bigger than the Cayman Islands. And with, I think, a little bit more potential. Now you're further away than the Cayman Islands from the United States. But I think that is something that would definitely bring in, you're open for business, and you don't look down or frown upon any business. You say, hey, we don't care. No, we don't. No, we're not going to go after this guy for his money, for his corporate, because we don't have taxes here. So that would be something that you could look at. And then you can model yourself after Hong Kong or Singapore. Take a look at how they do it. I wouldn't say you model yourself exactly like them, because there's going to be different economic traits and characteristics of Trinidad and Tobago that may not work. And then also the other thing, you got to train your labor force for it. I read that there's a lot of college graduates in Trinidad and Tobago and they just can't find jobs. Well, yes, because your economy's growing at 1.1%. What are you doing to get new businesses in there? What are you doing to diversify outside of oil? You can't all be accountants unless you have a ton of money coming in for banking. So, and it doesn't have to just be finance and tourism. That's always the hey, let's grab somebody else's shit. That's basically what finance and tourism. Let's have them spend their money here. There might be some other things that you could do beyond finance and tourism. But yes, definitely diversifying out of oil would be one of those things. And man, with the GDP per capita of 30,000 already, boy, I mean, you could, let's look at the Cayman Islands. What do the Cayman Islands got? It depends on who you use, but they're always like 80,000, 90,000. $43? No, that can't be it. Really? 43? I thought that was much higher than that. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, about 90,000. Well, I was back in 2009. What happened? Maybe their economy did take a shit. In any case, that Bermuda would be another one. What's Bermuda? Let's look up Bermuda. Remember Bermuda. Yeah, 84. Bermuda might be another one to model yourself more closely after, because they're a Caribbean nation. Oh no, they're out in the Atlantic, aren't they? I think they are out in the Atlantic. Yeah, they are in the Atlantic. Still, some similarities there between Bermuda and Trinidad. Anyway, I hope that helps. I don't know exactly if that, what you were looking for, but yeah, the economy, I really like it, man. I mean, looking at it, it's like, it's not a shithole. It's not this banana republic. It isn't with a bunch of idiots. We just need more money, and it's the evil Europeans that are keeping us down. I mean, it's like, hey, we got hustle, we got oil, and you guys are making bank, and you got low unemployment. I mean, it's a stable country, and I think it's greatly positioned, not just to maintain that, but if you want to get a little ballsy, you could definitely become the next Bermuda or something like that. Just look out for your next door neighbor to the south. So, anyway, best of luck. Toodles.